So, what's next? Who else? Lots of ideas. Jessica, go ahead.
Here we go. As I'm sure you're aware, Spokane's thriving medical marijuana dispensary system was recently wiped out by severe action on behalf of the federal government. Many of the current local council members have claimed that there's nothing that can be done at a local level to address this issue. However, Seattle City Council recently passed an ordinance regulating medical marijuana within the city limits and allowing for cooperatives to remain open. Do you think it's possible to address this issue locally?
Absolutely, positively. And it is embarrassing for people like the city leaders at the local level to say, we can't do anything about that, that's just flatly impossible. In fact, almost nothing's impossible. And so we talked the other day about how Seattle has made busing people for marijuana use like lowest priority crime.
Right.
So they said, their city council, and I think it was a council action, I don't think it was something that the community voted on, their council just said essentially, we are going to do this. We're going to make it so that we're not chasing around a bunch of potheads and marijuana smokers. We're going to work on violent crime, on dangerous criminals, and all those sorts of people. And in return, there is a value and a savings to their community. They're actually a healthier community because they're not spending all their time chasing these people around, whereas they are worrying about people that are actually causing crime. The next part of what you talked about is, can you do the dispensary laws?
Right.
So Seattle has already had a template. I'm big on stealing the best ideas from wherever. Local, national, state, whatever. If Seattle, especially being in Washington State, has a template for having medical marijuana clinics that is working and is not getting busted by the feds and seemingly is functional, then you can steal that idea. And maybe you can modify it a little bit. And I think that's a healthy way to go. I've been running for office for 4 years now. And a long time ago I took the plunge and said, really, I'm not worried about marijuana and pot other than the safety issues as far as like DUIs, DWIs, and all that. They have to be treated the same as alcohol. I in fact think alcohol is probably a lot more dangerous, in my view, from all the people I've seen and all my experiences in life. I'm not a pot smoker. I'm not doing this because I want to do that. But I just think it's unhealthy that we've been fighting this battle. And on a national level, I think the battle is actually about commerce and about big corporations kind of holding their position and ground. And in fact, I think Dave sent me an article one time. There's different articles that have discussed essentially, there's already plans for, while medical marijuana and marijuana is bad for you now, and what is it, class 1? What's the bad?
It's Schedule 1.
Schedule 1, which is kind of the worst kind of drug right now. It's that. That's what the federal government says for us now. At a point in the near future, the tobacco and alcohol industry will start producing marijuana for sale and in other forms. And at that point, the government will say it's not a Schedule 1 drug and it's not bad for you. And it's okay now, but it's only okay because you have to buy it from these corporations.
Right, the pharmaceutical companies.
From the pharmaceutical companies. And I'll tell you, that's how it is. Now, I mean, you can think I'm like a conspiracy person, but if you dig around and you look at this, that's really how it is. So I'm like, you know, we all know the honest truth. Why don't we just get ahead of it and have the discussion? And it used to be scary to talk about marijuana in a political sense. It's not anymore. Everyone knows. It's just the politicians now and the businesses kind of wrangling to see who's going to make the most money on it. I would love to see a local community, again, put the pressure on the state, like the Lisa Brown, the Tim Ormsby's, and Mike Baumgartner, and all these people, and say, look, you guys are not reflecting what we want to happen in our community, and you're being ridiculous. Let's go. Let's fix this.
More community involvement.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, yeah, that was really
Keep going.
The next part was going to be, what actions would you encourage people who are interested in getting the policy reform? What would you encourage them to do?
It's so hard because I can't imagine a group that's worked harder than the legalizing marijuana guys the last 5 years, and the state and the federal government has stymied every bit of their efforts. Though, with the problems we're having here, they're not having in other communities in Washington State. Seattle can do these things. What I would suggest, I think I told you guys the other day, I would find a lawyer, and I would suggest that somebody needs to set up a lawsuit saying we have unequal application of the law, which is illegal. You have to apply the law equally to everyone, and if they in Seattle are having these things, entities functioning and not being busted, it is not acceptable in a legal definition to bust those same entities here.
Well, it's just like the federal indictments that just came down. There was numerous shops that were raided with federal agents with our local police help, but only 2 of the local ones were indicted.
They were all raided, but only 2 were indicted?
Only 2 of them were indicted. So,
it's all
when they're
legally.
raided, that means like everything is taken.
Oh yeah,
well,
millions of dollars.
Taken, the arrest.
And here's why I'm mad.
No arrests.
Here's why I'm
There
really
were no
upset as a business person, as a capitalist. These guys essentially have been kind of given the okay by society and by community standards. Everyone's selling medical marijuana. These are how they're doing it in Washington State. Here, over there, they're doing that. Okay, so the guys over here in Spokane do it. And suddenly they're all getting busted. Their livelihoods are going down the tube. There's no legal clarification or definition on how this is supposed to be. That is not acceptable.
And the revenue, there's incredible revenue to be made.
And I'm big on, I want to legalize it and tax it. Because I think that is a solution to a lot of our social issues. You legalize it, you tax it, you sell it, you make a bunch of money, you help solve some of these road, police, fire, healthcare problems with that money.
Instead of spending...
Next question.
Yeah.
Does that solve it?
Yeah, that is right.
Yeah. Other questions? Any other problems, issues?
We hit like the